at 6. Score one for the opponents of an affordable living housing complex on Port Arthur's 12th Street. 12 News HD has learned exclusively of a temporary restraining order today granted to stop construction from moving forward on the proposed Edison Square. Many neighbors of the proposed facility fear it won't just be a complex for the elderly and could attract a drug and criminal element. Attorney Langston Adams took up their cause. State District Judge Donald Floyd today granted the TRO on Adams' argument that a zoning change was wrongfully granted by the city. Those changes are only allowed if there is less than 20% opposition from the neighborhood.
And I told him, can you guarantee me this is going to maintain? Oh, trust me, it's best for you. It's going to pick up your property value. And they use that excuse. Do you want your property value to be worth more? But it's easy to talk the talk and then walk the walk. They told one of our citizens, you know what, if I'm lying to you, sue me. Well, guess what?
They sued. 12 News contacted Port Arthur Councilman Kerry Thomas today. Thomas told us he supports the project because seniors would be located close to an HEB and Christus St. Mary Hospital. Councilman Willie Bay Lewis, Raymond Scott, and Robert Troy have opposed the construction. Tonight at 10 on 12 News HD, how the project has become a bitter Port Arthur political feud. The opposition to a Port Arthur affordable housing complex has won a round in court. It's a story you heard only on 12 News at 6. Homeowner opposition has led to a political feud that boiled over in July when 3 Port Arthur councilmen walked out of a meeting about the proposed Edison Square complex. Today, attorney Langston Adams was granted a temporary restraining order to halt construction. He represents 4 homeowners who live near the proposed site of Edison Square. Reginald Traynor has lived on 12th Street across from the site for 22 years. He and others fear the complex would attract a criminal element unless it's designated for only senior citizens.
They went behind our back and did it. We asked them for a park, and all of a sudden, they're going to try to force something on us. You can't force stuff on people. We have already seen them do the same thing with O.W. Collins, made a commitment that it was going to be there. Now, look at it. We don't want it here. We've asked them over and over and over. Nobody even came and talked to us. Asked us how did we feel about anything. We are the people of this community. We're going to fight by all means necessary.
And Traynor gets support from nearby resident Efren Avendano, also named as a plaintiff. Avendano says 5 council members approved a planning and zoning change based on a neighborhood survey that was not legally conducted.
They went out and got some additional votes for people to change their votes. You know what? These are like conditionals. You really can't accept these. And so it was up to the city council to review. Of course, they had a majority vote, so they accepted it. But what got them to break the law? I got no idea.
Port Arthur Councilman Kerry Thomas supports the project and says the council can beef up police patrols to make the area safer. Thomas said, I understand their concerns. If we need to hold up and get the questions answered, we'll make sure residents are satisfied. We'll have as many meetings as possible. Councilman Willie Bay Lewis, Raymond Scott, and Robert Troy opposed the project. An injunction hearing is next, that on October 24th.
The issue is if you are considering these items, you still have conditional language in it, and you will have to address the fact that some of them have some of them are not a clear yes or no. I mean, just
That's right.
Council needs to take the time to look at it.
No.
Because some of them are not a clear yes and a clear no, and
So
you need to at least review those before you go any further with your motion, because you have to be able to fulfill the condition. Like I said, I don't know. You have 3 things that they say if. So if is not a yes or a no. So the council needs to look at, like I said, I don't know if you want to take the time and examine these, but they say it says if, and you can't fulfill if.
Well, I'm going to do it based on the information that we have been given, and that's the only information that we can utilize. One of them says I'm only in favor if the proposed apartments of senior citizens own and 62 and older. And that's the information that we've been given, is that it's for senior citizens 62 and older. The other one, it says if this is not a plan to simply relocate all of O.C. Collins and Carver Terrace residents We've never been told this was a plan to relocate any other complex. The other one, there is another one that says, and it's the same thing. And the intent is for 62 and up, and the intent is for 62 and up. So I'm just kind of confused as to why somebody else would be confused about that. And those are the ones that we have.
The three
So,
that
City
you,
Attorney?
the three that you have are not clear yeses, or not clear nos, and that's the thing you need to look at, because this is where you can open the door to litigation. Again, it's in the council's decision-making authority to determine what you do, but when you say if, and you take it as a yes, or
Well,
you say
they're
if and
saying
you
I
take
am
it as.
now in favor. They're saying
And then-
I'm now
right.
in favor. They've checked that out, Val.
Right, but I'm saying be very careful when it says I am only in favor if the proposed apartments are senior citizens only, 62 and older only. I would just caution the council on all of these to be very careful how you treat them. Can you fulfill those obligations with the decision that you're making today? When you, whatever decision you decide to make, say you decide to do multifamily, or you decide to do planned development, and you count these in the calculation, you need to be able to be sure that you can fulfill that if with the decision you make. So that, like I said, the things that I think are problematic are the ones that say if. You know, I think it's problematic that the people didn't say yes, no. By putting ifs in there, I think confuses the whole issue. Like I said, again, it is up to council,
That's where I was
but
trying to
can you
go.
fulfill the obligation?
One of them says, I am now in favor, if this is not a plan, to simply relocate Carver Terrace residents, and its intent is for 62 and older. And based on the information that we have been given, the intent is for 62 and up. And it is not to relocate another complex. That's the only information that we have.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, what is it?
I think what the city attorney's saying is that we need to address that in the amendment. We need to document that somehow so that we're dealing with these. We recognize what they are we're dealing with.
Okay.
Now, I can only think of one way to do that, and that's a PDZ.
Well, you can't make a age restriction in a land use.
In a PDZ.
You can't make a age. Age is not a factor, and that's something that the planning director, but you can't look at age. You can't put a land use restriction and say certain
Okay.
age.
So let's just go back to your previous comments.
And you can't
please
put a land use
clarify.
restriction and say nobody from this side of the tracks can live there. Those three things cannot be considered in a land use restriction. So like I said, the three you have, it's up to the council to determine what they're, but this is where you could open yourself up to litigation on these three. You
And
could,
that would be how if the.
because they're not clear
conditions are not
yeses and
met.
clear nos. I mean, I think something needed to be cleared up with these individuals. They just need to say yes or no. But you can look at it and you can say if means yes. I can look at it and I can say if means no. They didn't give you anything clear. And you can't put in your PD if you're not from such and such a place. You can't put in your PD if you're not 25 or 62. You can't, that's not a land use. Mr. Burton can explain it a whole lot better in terms of
But we
land use, but you can't put that in your ordinance.
Okay, I understand that.
So
but-
can you fulfill the three?
Yeah,
It's
well, the
problematic.
litigation would arise if the conditions were not met.
You can't even put the conditions in there.
Right, we can't address the conditions, but if we, as we understand the proposal, the conditions are met.
No,
The conditions can't even be addressed.
that's right.
Councilmember Scott.
You know, I mean, and I'm not trying to
You
take,
talking-
I'm trying to really look, you have on here a person that's put, if this is not a plan to relocate Carver Terrace and O.W. Collins, how do you address something like that? Because they're not at a point where they can decide that. You
Correct.
know, and so if, you know, the ones that have if are problematic and the council really needs to look at it.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, and we were about to vote. It's been moved and second that we approve the amendment as stated by Councilmember Freeman to accept those letters that were handed to us from citizens in reference to the proposed development. And City Secretary, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Albright,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
No.
Councilmember Scott,
No.
Councilmember Siegler,
Yes.
Councilmember Troy,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Williamson,
Yes.
Mayor Prince.
Yes. So the amendment passes.